Good afternoon on this warm Saturday afternoon. Everyone have a fan? Thank you for joining us for graduation and celebrating the class of 2024. It's the time of year when we celebrate graduates across the country. And at these ceremonies, students will hear various words of encouragement. Things like, a whole world of opportunity lies before you. Pursue your passions and dreams. Become whatever you want to be. You will change the world. The underlying message of these remarks is that our lives are in our own hands, and we are free to shape them as we see fit. Some graduation speeches suggest that joy and fulfillment come from pursuing personal desires and dreams, especially those focused on securing a well-paying job and achieving upward mobility. We want our graduates to dream big and to be successful. Today, I want to offer a different perspective. Graduates, I'm not primarily concerned with what you will do, rather who you will become. This might seem countercultural, but I want to speak to your transition into the next stage of life in a way that goes beyond typical advice. Instead of focusing solely on personal ambitions, I encourage you to look to Jesus as your example of how to approach life after UMEI. Let's examine the message Jesus shared with his disciples before his death. Jesus told them, "You cannot accomplish anything of lasting significance on your own." That might sound a bit harsh, but in John 15:4-5, Jesus explains, "No branch can bear fruit by itself. It must remain in the vine. Neither can you bear fruit unless you remain in me. I am the vine. You are the branches. If a man remains in me and I in him, he will bear much fruit. Apart from you, you can do nothing." The point, I think, is quite straightforward. On your own, without Jesus, you can do nothing of true significance. But what did he mean by that? And how can he say we can do nothing when it's clear that people are achieving great things without constantly acknowledging God? It's possible we are reaching our goals, but maybe these goals aren't the right ones. Every deed we do apart from God is a deed seeking to glorify something other than him, and probably most often for ourselves. Our scholarly achievement is empty knowledge apart from God. Our positions of status are meaningless titles if not offered to him. So when Jesus says, "Without me you can do nothing," in verse 5, he is telling us that our efforts, no matter how well planned or eager, cannot bear fruit without him. This is like attaching fake fruit to living branches. But don't get discouraged by this, because there is always hope in following Jesus' example. The hope is that we can do incredible things in him. Philippians 4:13 records Paul saying, "I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength." In Mark 10:27, Jesus said, "With man this is impossible, but with God all things are possible." By remaining in the vine, Jesus tells us that whatever we wish for will be done for us, and that we will bear much fruit. With these words, graduates, your futures have endless possibility when you let Jesus work through you. When God works through us, we can overcome seemingly insurmountable obstacles. We can transform entire communities. We can soften the hardest of hearts, and we can turn around the most hopeless situations. These things happen not because of our methods, by the things that we do necessarily, but because of his life working through us. Therefore, the first thing to remember is this: if you want to make a real difference in the world, you must let Jesus build his life within you. Jesus calls us to something deeper. He calls us to hunger for a godly character. And he says that God is not looking for impressive press clippings, shiny material goods, large bank accounts. He is looking for fruit. In Galatians 5:22, we are told, the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. The person who is truly drawing life from the vine will be demonstrating a Christ-likeness in their personality. And this may look like being receptive to guidance and feedback instead of believing you know everything, having compassion for those vulnerable to poverty rather than being indifferent to their needs, treating others with respect rather than viewing them as objects to exploit, demonstrating patience instead of losing your temper quickly, showing love rather than engaging in manipulation. These qualities are becoming increasingly rare in our world, making them truly remarkable at times. Graduates, ask yourselves, will others see Jesus in you? Who will you become? I hope others see God in the way you treat others. He calls us to embody the same humility he demonstrated. We must never use our power, status, intellect, or wealth to oppress or belittle others. Instead, we should seek to serve one another. By practicing this humility, we remain open to being wrong and to changing. As followers of Jesus, we acknowledge that there is always more to learn. I would like to leave you with these final thoughts that I read from a CMU Bible professor, Dan Eptison. And he encouraged the church to view graduation as a time to challenge our young people with a counter vision, a challenge to them to live alternatively. And I believe that the challenges he shared are ones that exemplify what we hope you have come to have learned over your years at UMEI. So the first is, this time of transition is an opportunity to take stock of your life and ask questions. What are my life goals? What kind of person do I want to become? Remember that your life is not your own, rather a precious gift from God. Live every day and make every decision remembering this basic fact. The purpose of life is not to pursue your own dreams. Your purpose is to discern how to utilize your gifts, abilities, and interests to pursue God's dream for the world. Keep Jesus at the center of your life. In the world of work, higher education, and social media, you will encounter many influences that try to push Jesus out of your life. Remember that he is the true way to fullness of life. And a world of opportunity stands before you, but not all life's options lead in healthy directions. Some of the dreams that our world seeks to embrace you with might be slightly harmful to you, to others, and even to God's world. So learn to be discerning. And lastly, wherever life's journey takes you, stay connected to the church and God's people. You may get frustrated with the church at times, but his people are there to take care of you. They will remind you of God's infinite love of you. They will welcome you home if you happen to stray. They will hold the Christ light for you in the time of your fear. Graduates, remember these things as you leave this place. You can't do anything significant apart from God. Biblical success is not determined by what you have, but by who you will become. And the process of growth is never ending. With heartfelt sentiment, I wish you all of God's blessings as you go forth to become all that he has intended you to become.